Yo, what's up, guys? It's your boy Keep It Real MMA. Just want to make this quick video. It's basically just getting out frustrations. So basically, the UFC Fight Night card, Keita versus Allen, finished last night. I will post the full card reaction soon after this video. This video is dedicated to the judging on this card. There were 2 robberies, and another one was about to be a robbery. It's crazy to me how bad these judges are. And it clearly shows that they have a bias, because the UFC has a bias, right? Like I said, most people don't know how to score a fight, even the hardcore fans. Jan versus O'Malley was extremely close, and it all came down to that one round, the first round. It all came down to that round. The striking was even, and the grappling was even. So it went down to octagon control. Octagon aggressiveness, sorry. Aggressiveness, effective aggressiveness. That's what it went down to. And that's where Jan won. But it wasn't clear. So to call it a robbery was a bit strange, but by definition it's a robbery because there's still a clear winner. Jan won 10-9 that round. And obviously Jan clearly won round 2. O'Malley clearly won round 3. So obviously the UFC was going to give Sean O'Malley that dub. And Tim Welch was recently on his podcast talking about that some UFC employee, don't know who it is, but some UFC employee said out loud that if any of you say that Sean O'Malley lost this fight, you will be fired. Now, to say that in a place like Abu Dhabi, where Abu Dhabi is, the UFC is their own commission, meaning that it's a lot easier for them in somewhere like Abu Dhabi to rig fights for the judges, right? So he must have been referring to the judges, and that's why the judges gave O'Malley the freaking fight. This is not acceptable. Like, and you can look it up. It's on YouTube. Like Tim Welch talking about it. Talking about how some UFC staff said that, and he must be a higher up staff to threaten something like that. He might have been joking, you never know, but why would you say that out loud where somebody in somebody's corner can hear that? And I don't understand it. It makes you think, right? And then this card happens. Waldo Cortez gets the decision over Jared Vanderaa. Jared Vanderaa clearly won 29-28. He clearly won the last 2 rounds. Clearly. And they give it to Waldo Cortez because he's undefeated and he's the newcomer in the UFC. And the biggest robbery, Dustin Jacoby versus Khalil Rountree. They give Khalil Rountree that fight. And it shows that UFC clearly have a bias on who they want to push forward. Obviously, Khalil Rountree has this fucking suicide story and how he was 300 pounds and he was depressed, blah, 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 right? And I understand, right? It's a sad story, and it's inspirational that he's did this and that with his life, and it's great. But you could tell they're trying to push him, because how the fuck can you possibly give him 29-28 scorecard? Dustin Jacoby clearly won round 1 and 2. Clearly, and could argue won round 3. I didn't give him round 3, but I wouldn't be mad if somebody gave him round 3. So this begs the question, why are UFC doing this? Because it doesn't help him in the future. Dustin Jacoby made Khalil Rountree look like an amateur. And then another judging fuck up was some judge gave Tim Means that fight against Max Griffin, when Max Griffin clearly won all 3 rounds of that fight. And he had to win by split decision. This judging is out of hand. It's gone too far. And don't know what to do with it. Like, Tim Means and Max Griffin, okay, because Max Griffin got robbed against Neil Magny. Now, there's can't be a bias here because they're not going to push Tim Means. Tim Means is not good enough. He's old and he's past his prime. But the Cortez one, the Khalil Roundtree one, and the Sean O'Malley one. Those were three clear biases by the UFC. Now, I know that the Apex is in Vegas, so it's not their own commission, but they could still influence wherever they want. They could still get the decisions the UFC preferably want most of the time. Well, not most of the time, some of the time. And you could clear that they did that in those 2 victories last night. And it was even more clear that they did it in the Sean O'Malley-Yan fight. Don't get me wrong, O'Malley put up a hell of a fight. But by the definition of the school scoring criteria, Yan clearly won that fight 2-1. 2 rounds to 1, 29-28. So you have to give Yan the fight. You have to give Yan the fight. And obviously the UFC were pushing certain things, saying that, and Tim revealing that proves it. And obviously it must have been higher up of UFC staff to be able to say something like that. And it's clear to show that judging needs to be changed, and I don't want them to be fighters either. I'm known for advocating that I don't want it to be fighters, because 99% of the fighters don't even know how to score fights themselves. So it's one of those things where it's like, what do you do? What can you do? That's the biggest question. What can you do? And I'm not saying I completely disagree with the scoring criteria. I don't. I think damage should trump all. I think damage in a fight, because think about it this way, MMA, right, as of right now, is the closest thing you can get to a street fight, basically, in a unified rules way, with certain rules. Damage trumps all, in my opinion. The most damage that you inflict, I believe, is what should be scored the best. But these judges clearly don't know that, because except for the Yan O'Malley fight, I know it was close, but by definition, like, Yan wins that round. But, like, when they get most of these fights wrong, they're not scoring damage. And most hardcore fans don't know how to score a fight. And then have the nerve to call other people a casual. I can't tell you how many times I got called a casual, right? And I'll go back to that channel, right? That SM channel, wherever the fuck you're called, bro. If you want to have a chat, if you want to talk about certain things, we can talk. We can go on a call and we can talk about it. How many times I got called a casual because I said Whittaker versus Adesanya 2 was a robbery. It was a robbery, by definition. By the scoring criteria of MMA. For the UFC, the 10-point must system, damage trumps all. Whittaker clearly won round 2, round 4, and round 5. Clearly. It didn't even go down to aggressiveness. It didn't go down to octagon control. It was based off effective striking and effective grappling that he won all 3 of those rounds. And people have the nerve to call me a casual for pointing out this, being angry at the judges not scoring the fight correctly. They've told what the criteria is, and they still can't score a fight. And it pisses me off. And I have every right to be pissed off. And it's funny to me how these judges are told, you can't tell me there's not a bias here. They know what the scoring criteria is. Yet they still give O'Malley that fight. They know what the scoring criteria is. Yet they give Waldo Cortez that decision. They know what the scoring criteria is, yet they still give Roundtree that fight. They know what the scoring criteria is, and I can't let it go. I'm sorry, I'm one of these people. I picked Waldo Cortez. I picked him. But I'm advocating for Jared Vanderaa because he clearly won that fight. And I don't want nobody being pushed up for no biased bullshit because the judges scored it wrong. And some fights, it's just too convenient for them to get it wrong. It's too convenient for them to score it wrong. Yan versus O'Malley is the biggest one. Sean O'Malley, a young superstar that the UFC are trying to push. Under 30 years of age, he's a flashy guy. Everybody loves, well, not everybody loves him. A lot of people hate him, but he gets a lot of attention. He's a decent draw. Oh, he's number 11 versus number 1. He conveniently gets given that fight. Conveniently, while a UFC employee screams out that whoever says O'Malley didn't win that fight gets fired. And now, all of a sudden, instead of saying that Yan won, everybody that works for the UFC on their YouTube channels, everybody on their UFC channels are saying, oh, regardless of what you think, Sean O'Malley came to fight. No, call out the bullshit. And I don't know, but I just like calling things out because I'm not stupid. I see how I see how it is. That's why I keep it real MMA. Judging needs to be changed in some way. More so, the UFC needs to put their biases aside because you're ruining people's parlays. You're ruining people's bets in general. And on top of that, not only are you ruining it, you're pushing people who don't deserve wins and you're giving them win. They didn't deserve the fight and you gave them the fight anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those where it's like, it's not going to help them in their career. Because Sean O'Malley now, he put up a hell of a fight and he shows that he belongs in the top 5. Most definitely he belongs in the top fucking 5 of the UFC bantamweight division. But it's not good for his stocks that everybody knows that Jan won that fight. Even people who can't score a fight knows that Jan won that. Well, they think, but it was a lot closer than what they think. Jan, it wasn't clear just watching it if you don't know how to score a fight. But if you do, it's clear Jan won that fight. But everybody, all casuals, everything thought that Jan won the fight. And the scoring criteria says that Jan won the fight. 129-28. It's just funny to me, man. It's funny to me how it's just all pushed in this way, and I don't know what can be done, but I'm just putting the frustrations out there. So anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching. Like I said, the card reaction breakdown will be posted later on tonight. Thanks so much for watching. This is Keep It Real MMA. Thank you so much. See you guys in the next video. Peace.